Welcome to today's reading on what would be helpful for you right now. Today we have three piles to choose from. We have Group 1 with the Wildwood Tarot, we have Group 2 with the Everyday Witch Tarot, and Group 3 with the Light Seers Tarot. You're welcome to pause the video so you can take a moment to see which pile you feel the most drawn to. Timestamps are in the description box so that you can skip ahead to the reading that you choose, and we'll get into it. Hey, welcome Group 1 to today's reading. I've just finished shuffling the cards, but I'm starting the timestamps at the time of the reading starting. We do have a little bit of background noise, but I think we should be able to get through it. If you notice any jump cuts, that's all it is me working around that. So to start off with, there feels like there's a time of challenge at this point, and at the moment I feel like it has to do with another person. It may not be the same for everybody, but I'm at this point feeling it's another person. At the same time as dealing with whatever this challenge is, it's like you may have found some sort of new hobby, passion or interest, or I want to say like divine connection or fulfillment or something like that, that is essentially like lifting you up at the same time as whatever this challenge is dragging you down. But I guess what they want to point out right now is that it's not about seeing it as though like the scales are being tipped or anything necessarily, but it's rather the fact that when you're enduring or working through this challenge, you're also being given a little bit of uplifted energy or notion or fulfillment or something like that around this time. So it's sort of like, as much as you feel the scales may have been tipped, it's kind of like the universe is helping tip it back into equilibrium or balance for you at this time. What that looks like will be a little bit different for everybody, but I do get a deep sense for some of you that it is actually being in touch with the universe or spirit in some way. I do think that whatever this challenge is quite draining. I feel like you've probably had to fight for a long time, or endure this challenge for a long time, and it gives me the sense of it seems never ending, or whatever this challenge is like persistent. I think that's what I'm trying to say. It's persistent, it's strong. I want to say it's quick. I don't know if that's the case for everybody, and it's like maybe you've kept up with it till this point in time, but I do get the feeling that it's becoming increasingly harder for you to keep up with it. But that seems to be at this point in time where they want you to lean into this sort of fulfillment or passionate interest, whatever that is for you. That's where they want you, or your connection here, like divine connection. That's where they want you to lean into that, when it really seems like it's starting to become, when you're starting to feel defeated, okay? Now, I'm also getting a sense of you step into a quick, not even quick, like an agile, very precise energy, where maybe you're able to, I guess, cut through any of the crap that has already gone on, and you're seeing, it makes me think of like having an aerial view, like a top-down view, where you've got the bigger picture in mind and you can see everything happening as it is. You're not missing any details. It's like you have all the information that you need to make this decision, and nothing's clouding you, nothing's influencing you, but you're actually clear-minded enough to make this decision to the best of your ability. And I feel like you don't miss a beat here. Like the logic's there, the clarity's there, the informed decision making's there, the ability, like the cognitive ability to make the decision is there, okay? So for any of you that have been doubting yourself, I feel like at this point in time, when you reach that space, there will be no room for doubt, because you'll be so confident within, it's kind of like a second nature, like confidence as a second nature to an animal. Like an animal, how do I explain this? So like a rabbit doesn't doubt that it can hop or jump, because it's second nature to it, or it's innate to it, that it's just part of what it does is just hop or jump. So I feel like this time, or whatever this is that you lean into, this, whether it's a spiritual connection, some sort of passion, hobby, or interest, whatever it is, that level of fulfillment, it's like, I think for some of you might be finding fulfillment in yourselves as well. Whatever it is, it somehow helps restore the balance enough where you stop doubting yourself as much as what you were. And I do feel like there has been, I don't know what this energy is, where it comes from, where it's like there's been like a level of like disrespect, or there's like a level of, what is it? For some of you, it may feel like somebody's coming after you, or like somebody's not relenting. Like whatever this situation is relentless. Like it's not giving up. It's not letting you go. It continues to pursue you even when you say that you've had enough and you put boundaries in place. Whatever it is like disrespecting or negating the boundaries that you have. And where is this going? Whatever this is trying to pull your attention away from whatever you're trying to do. Like whatever this is I get a sense of it's like it's chasing you and it's demanding attention from you that you don't want to give it, you don't want to actually engage, but it's trying to force you to engage here. And it's gives me the sense of being like worn down because of the relentless nature of it. I was sort of getting the message of like the only way to beat this is to go within, and then I was sort of asking like, well, how do you go within when you don't ever get any time outside of like that survival or avoidance or you know, dealing with whatever this thing is that seems to be like following you or relentingly like chasing you or something like that. And it was more or less saying that you just need to seek whatever reprieve that you can. So if you get time to rest, and even if you have to be strategic about how you get the rest, you need to be able to do that so that you can allow yourself enough time to try to, I guess, go back to this state of having clarity and whatnot, or planning for, like, prepping for the future. I feel like whoever this person is or whatever this situation is that it's going to keep following you. Like, you're not going to be able to necessarily, like, as long as it's around, it's not going to give up. Like, yeah, I just feel like you need to move away from whatever it is. So you may need to just like cut or sever ties, or build, I don't know, I guess there's some sort of strategic defensive move here that needs to be made that I'm not really sure what it is. How I think, do you know what's another thing before we started really tapping into this too much? Because once I'm tapped into this, I'm like, I feel like it's quite overwhelming. Whatever this is takes all of my attention and energy. It's all consuming, and it makes it hard for me to focus on anything else outside of this situation. But it's like not giving it the time and energy or attention, because that's exactly what it's trying to get. And as soon as you're able to break that focus or redirect your focus onto something else, it loses its power. Okay, so maybe that's what it is. It's not giving it the attention or the focus or the energy that it's trying to get from you. Like, maybe it's trying to get a reaction, and it's sort of keeping you stuck and stagnant in a way, or keeping you scared, or keeping you, yeah, it's definitely like I feel like something's trying to, I don't know what the word is, like, I really don't like this energy. Whatever it is, I don't like it. It's yuck. If you can get away from it, please do. If it's something that you're really struggling with, you may need to look at doing some sort of clearing practices. Like, not even look at doing, I think you definitely need to do some sort of clearing practice at this point in time. Depending on how bad the situation is, it's like best practice to just clear ground and protect yourself every day. And maybe that's what that time is, that like strategic reprieve where you do get that small break of time, or like window of time to have a break. Maybe that's what you do during that time. That will sort of help clear up any stuff. Maybe for some of you it feels like you do get clear, you do take action, and whatever this is like still chasing you. So it's like that feeling of like relentless, like having to run away from something, even though you've already actually left the situation, but it's still coming after you. But do you know, like, the more I started talking about the clearing, grounding, protective sort of stuff, like the practices or whatever, the less power this seemed to have over me. So it's like, we're not going to give it as much time, attention, focus, and we're going to do things like clearing, grounding, and protecting our own energy, where we're putting the energy and the focus back on ourselves and making sure we're clearing our energetic field of anything that isn't ours as well. And then I think you'll find, and this is such a weird thing, right? Because I think the physical manifestation of whatever this situation is not going to seem like this is something that you can clear, ground, and protect your way out of, okay? It's probably like, if you're listening to this reading and this resonates for you, you're probably going to question at this point whether it does or not, because it's like, will you even understand the gravity or the depths of this situation? Not that I understand it, this is just what's coming through, okay? But that's the advice that we're getting, okay? So trying to, and I understand it can be challenging, right? If something's constantly at you, trying to get a reaction, trying to get your attention and suck all of your energy their way, or tugging on your energy, it's really hard not to give it attention. I think the best way I can describe the advice that they're giving is to just, as it's one thing to give this attention because something big happens and you can't not give it attention, but I think it's another thing to redirect the focus back on yourself, okay? So anything outside of yourself is, yeah, I know whatever this is may try to provoke you or get a reaction, but I think as long as you can focus on yourself where possible, you'll definitely do your part in making the situation the best that you can to your ability. Acknowledging that, like, some things are out of our control, okay? It's just like doing what you can, and when you are able to do that, whatever this is seems to not be as draining, or it doesn't have as great of an effect on you or your energy. So it's almost as if you can imagine that you've built a fence over time from doing these practices. It actually is helping keep this person or situation out, or they seem to like slow down, or you get a little bit quicker, or even if they still keep on you and you've got your fence there and maybe they're still trying to come through, it's like they don't hold as much power. It's like it's that whole fear thing. It's like when we buy into the fear-mongering stuff, or like scare tactics and all of that, we're giving this person more power than what they're really due, and how powerful they actually are. It's like our fear is helping fuel this situation. So the best advice I can give you is to try to stay grounded and not buy into the fear of whatever this is as best you can, okay? I think it's important to highlight that we can only do the best we can, and that we don't always get it right, but we can continue to strive to not give it too much attention. The other thing that I'm getting is that you're growing through this challenge. So it's not like this challenge isn't in vain. There is 100% some level of like growth or lessons being learnt here. Even if you don't understand it, that is happening. That will essentially end up serving you. It's just that at this point in time, it can be maybe quite hard to see that, or to understand what good it could possibly have. But again, we're not always meant to know everything, and if we did know, sometimes we would try to circumvent or circumnavigate the situations to avoid like the painful parts, but I guess that would be taking shortcuts, and we don't really learn the lesson for what it is by taking shortcuts either. I'm just getting a message that the only way to beat this like situation or personal challenge is like stamina. So it's like maybe you're picking your battles and doing what you can to really look after yourself and support yourself during this time. And maybe you're in for like the long game or something like that here. Okay. Essentially, this whole situation will end up actually being really healing and really helpful to you. And I think for some of you, that may resonate with feeling like you are in fact the healer. It will actually help you be a better healer. It'll help you be a better channel. It'll help you have more depth and compassion. It'll strengthen your connection. There's like a myriad of ways which that will actually help you. But for at least everybody in the group, this situation ends up being healing of nature to something within you, maybe from when you were younger, or things that, it doesn't even have to be from when we were a child necessarily. It just could be some sort of course corrective like lesson or situation that plays out that really helps us find our own strengths or purpose or calling or something like that. The other side of it is that our situation, although dire and, you know, maybe it doesn't look like it actually is helpful or healing to anyone. It can, you know, sometimes our situations can look like it's a loss, like there is no win-win solution for anyone. Sometimes it can be quite healing for the people outside of our situation, and the people that are around us or surrounding us, because there's something in what they're seeing play out that can be like restorative to them in their lives. So I think at this point it's really important to acknowledge that there's not just one situation in which this is actually being helpful, although it doesn't look like it's helpful, and it seems much more painful than any wisdom possibly perceived to gain out of the situation. But the good that this situation is having across a bigger group of people is actually phenomenal. And I guess they want you to understand that you've done a really good job navigating this to the best of your ability, and that things are going to get much better. So we also have strong emotion, passionate love or hate, and prosperity. So that's sort of that both sides of the coin there. Okay, what else do we have? I do feel like there is a what is it? It's like maybe there's a fire inside your heart, or a deep sadness within your heart that people outside of this or outside of yourself seem quite indifferent to. But I just feel like they don't really understand the depths of the situation, okay? And that in itself can be hurtful sometimes, even though it's not their fault that they don't understand it. They just haven't had the same sort of experiences to be able to see it. And that sometimes that can lead us into a place of feeling defensive. But ultimately, if we can surrender and let ourselves be sad, or let ourselves embody that emotion, we can step into an energy where we're able to, it is about surrender. It's like surrendering to our situation. Being drawn back here though. For others of you, for some of you, I'm hearing your devotion will kill you. And I don't mean like, I don't know. Please take these messages with a grain of salt and use your own discernment. We all, I just feel like for some of you, this situation is like a time-sensitive issue. And when I say time-sensitive, these readings are timeless, but it's like time-sensitive from the point in which you see this reading. So like whatever your current circumstance is, given that this reading resonates for you, something about this is time-sensitive, and maybe we already have a bleeding heart, or maybe we already feel like we've done everything that we can. There's some sort of I feel like there's some sort of energy here that feels restrictive. And maybe it is that maybe you are quite a devoted person, and the devotion is that restrictive sense, sort of aligning with that message that we got before. I think at this point, if you're devoted to somebody outside of yourself, granted that it's not children, right? We should always be devoted to the children in our lives, but, you know, I mean like little kids and stuff. I feel like somebody here is taking advantage of your devotion in whatever way that plays out, and it might not have anything to do with kids. I think you're devoted to some particular situation, and somebody knows that you are, and they're kind of taking advantage of the fact that you're devoted to whatever that is. I'm also just getting that you're giving it more power than it's worth, which sort of is confirmation or aligns with that message that we were getting a little bit before as well. But ultimately we need to really, I just keep wanting to say like surrender to the sadness, but this card's not even about surrender. Where's it? Defensive, isn't it? I'm just hearing like, or I'm getting that it's like you've listened all you can, and at some point you probably need to be defensive as well. So for some of you, maybe you've like tried everything in your power but being actually defensive. And it does give me that sense of like coming from the heart space and maybe even grief, where you've just tried to do what you can to help the situation and it's still not really enough. I do feel like there's some weird link here with the defensiveness where you've got to be careful that you like won't hurt yourself in some way. Well, no, what is it? Basically, they're pointing out that the roses in this card, although roses, they all have thorns, and it's like something to watch out for are all of these thorns, which is linked to the defensiveness, but I just can't work out exactly how. So it's like, I think it's more or less somebody else's defensiveness. So it's kind of, it's a bit of a weird one. I wonder if you guys are in a sense mirroring each other, where it's like this person or situation is actually quite defensive, and it's that whole thing of being careful to pick your battles and make sure that you don't come out, you know, too wounded from it or something like that. But at the same time, you sort of need to be defensive for yourself, and it's maybe something that you haven't really done during this time. I do get a sense that the sadness seems to overtake a lot of everything else going on. Like maybe at times it's hard for you to think about or do anything else outside of just being sad, because it's all encompassing for where you're at. Maybe part of this whole situation was the fact that you weren't accepting the situation for what it was, or what was actually going on. And so there's that message for surrender again. There's something about surrendering to the situation and just waiting to see what happens. In the end, like the only thing that's going to negatively affect the outcome of this situation will be your own limiting beliefs. So this is a time that if you're able to do some sort of exercise to, like, maybe you need to do some level of shadow work on your own limiting beliefs or self-limiting beliefs, or maybe you need to do a meditation where you're trying to, I guess it's kind of the same thing, right? You're like letting go of like the self-limiting beliefs, or like opening your mind up to the possibilities of the things that you haven't been open to before, or you didn't realize were potential factors in this situation. I do particularly feel like for a lot of you, if you're that way inclined, that some level of like meditation or getting in touch with your intuition is really going to help you here. And I want to go further than your intuition. So for those of you that this resonates for, I understand it's not everybody. This may be a really good time if you can get in touch with any sort of like spirit guides or ancestors, any sort of like higher power to you. It doesn't matter what it is. I do get the sense, right, I don't know when the next full moon's coming out, because I think we've only not long had one. So you either need to do something, some sort of like ritualistic practice of a night time, where this is not for everyone, right? If you're happy to meditate, then that's great. That's enough for you. But I feel for others of you, you'll actually be called and you'll know who you are. So those of you that this part doesn't resonate for, just leave it. Don't try to make it fit. But for those of you, it's like you may have to go sit outside of a night time and be in the presence of the moon, and maybe you actually have to do, maybe that's when you do like your meditative exercise, or maybe you write down on a piece of paper all the beliefs that are limiting, like you set yourself an exercise to work out everything that is potentially limiting you and your situation. And maybe you can do some sort of exercise where you burn the paper with all the limiting beliefs, and that's in essence symbolic of you letting go of it. And in an energetic sense should hopefully sort of free up some of that as well within you. And for others of you, it'll be like lying awake in bed of a night time. If for any of you that sort of get that like good old wake up between, I don't know, it doesn't matter what time it is, but particularly between 12 and 4 a.m. or around that 3:30 mark would be fabulous. Don't stress if it's like earlier or later. Just that it's that whole thing of like being woken up or waking up in the middle of the night for no reason, not being able to go back to sleep. Maybe you can see the moon outside of your bedroom window or something like that, and that's your quiet time to get in touch with your higher consciousness or higher power of some kind. I do get, I'm being called back to this devotion card, and I just do get the sense at the end of the day that like whatever this is that you're feeling devoted to, you may need to reevaluate some of the self-limiting beliefs around what the devotion is and how that plays out in your life and what it looks like or how it restricts you, because it's like this devotion has some great deal to what's keeping you held back. I guess so. I'm trying to think of a good example for this, and I'm hoping that I don't butcher this, but we'll put one out there and see how we go. Maybe you have children and you're devoted to being like the best parent that you can be, which is great. Hopefully we can all try to be the best parents that we can be, but maybe there's some sort of like self-limiting belief around what being a good parent is, or what being the best parent looks like, and maybe your standards are too high, or you're so stringent within your own beliefs that you end up really restricting or suffocating yourself, because you don't realize that there's actually other ways outside of this structured framework or belief that you have in your mind that actually still allows you to be a really good or the best parent that you can be, even though it looks differently on the outside. Okay, so you can still be a really good parent, and your kids can still thrive in this different environment, but you have this limiting belief around what that environment looks like. And so in a sense you're keeping yourself stuck because you actually don't you're not letting yourself do that, like not giving yourself the time or the compassion to actually explore what that might be, or the fact that it doesn't have to look that certain way to do it, or that maybe you actually are a good enough parent without you know, fulfilling these expectations of other people or something like that. Okay, obviously we're not all parents, that's just an example, but I hope that that communicates what I'm trying to say and gets the point across. I feel that it does. So yeah, at this point we're going to take one of the paper messages and just see, I don't know how this is going to go, but hopefully we get something good. We'll just give it a bit of a mix up, because it's kind of, yeah, that's what we want. Sure. It's kind of too big, too small of a container for the messages in there to shake it up too much. Let's get the message, you mean everything to me. I don't get any real sense as to what that's for. I think that will just be different for everybody. So maybe someone in this situation means everything to you, or maybe you mean everything to this somebody else here. I'm just, what is this? I'm getting any of the abundance that you have within you will emanate from you. It's like you'll attract in more abundance just from the sense that you already have that. There's a strength and fortitude like no other. And all you need to do is keep on keeping on. So that, yeah, just take that how that resonates. Don't, yeah. Okay, what else do we want? I think this will be the last card. Now we'll take a Zodiac card. For anyone that was wondering today, the crystal that was I used for these decks, all three decks actually had clear quartz. They were just in slightly different shapes or forms. Need to be upside down, okay. Okay, so I'm feeling, I'm getting that you need to be open to the universe. There's definitely something where you need to work with the universe or be a little bit more intertwined than what you have. It's like you're embracing the universe. I think that's what it is. And putting the work in, but it's that like intuitive, I feel it's just like, I get the sense that it's like the universe is going to be protecting you or acting as some sort of guardian during this time. And that it's really giving you the space to overcome whatever this lesson is, but ultimately you're going to be protected. It's just that it's like a really difficult lesson for you to learn. So it might, you know, it might not be that difficult of a lesson. That's the way that I interpret this. That's not actually channeled. It's just more the fact that like the universe has your back. Maybe for some of you, you feel like it could be a little bit overwhelming, or it could be like spilling out into different areas of your life where it can be hard to integrate it or manage the both side by side. Yeah. I do feel, yeah. I don't know if that, this is, just take it how it resonates. I feel like some of you will be really stepping into some like sense of beauty during this time. Like maybe you emanate beauty, or others are seeing that in you, or are really attracted to, like, I feel like it's an inside outside thing and an energetic thing all at the same time, where you're really like, it's like in every way you can possibly be beautiful, you're going to be beautiful and really attractive to other people at this time. I feel like you'll really stand out from the crowd with this as well. And this is, it doesn't matter what gender it is. So even, you know, in the West, people don't typically say that like men are beautiful. Like I'm sure there's other descriptive words that they would use to explain an attractive male, but it's like whatever that is, it's like that level of attractiveness and beautifulness of a person. Yeah, it's mostly the attractiveness, okay, if that makes sense. And okay, so they're pointing out like the only way that you can be better during this stage is to just try to remain grounded where you can. And sometimes that means trying to slow down and be steady and be in the present moment, so that you can let everything sort of settle down a little bit or subside a little bit, enough to keep that clarity throughout this time. I feel like I'm missing something here with this Pisces card. I do feel for some of you, there's something here about being mutable. So it's like certain signs, I think it's Virgo, maybe Gemini, Sagittarius, and Pisces are like the mutable. I hope that Pisces is actually, I'm pretty sure it's mutable. But regardless of whether Pisces is mutable or not, it's there is a message there. There's something about your personality where maybe you are more mutable than other people around you, or if this is another person that you're dealing with, maybe you're mutable and they're not, and so there's something there where you're not quite being understood, or I want to say in some ways it's really serving you just as much, in other ways it's not, where it's kind of, maybe you get the general feeling of feeling misunderstood in some ways. And it's one of those things, like it's not something that you're doing on purpose. You're probably not even really aware that you're doing anything. You're probably like, I don't get the sense that you're like thinking, I want to be this way or come across this way, so I'm going to do whatever I think it is that does that or puts that forth. It's just like your nature is a little bit more submissive, or even subordinate, or is more likely to, I don't know if I'd say that you're more private, or if it's more a case of you want to retreat. There's something there where maybe you're just a person that, I don't know if what is it like? Maybe you just don't want to put yourself out there, or maybe it's not even what it is. Yeah, maybe for some of you, you are worried about putting all of yourself out there or something. I think for some of you, it could be like a vulnerability thing or a defensiveness thing. It's where your personality subconsciously has traits of being more mutable, where you're less likely to show all of yourself out of a feeling or situation where you allow yourself to be really vulnerable by doing that. So it's kind of like you won't actually do that. You'll keep certain parts of yourself quiet, reserved, tucked away, or hidden, to not exacerbate a situation or something like that. I think that behavior can have undertones of being manipulative at different points, but this doesn't feel manipulative at all. This just feels like purely like a thing where you are protecting yourself. And I think that this is something where it's like one of those ways in which this is actually going to serve you. It's sort of like, it's got that tumultuous energy where I'm sure that as much as this is going to serve you in this situation, I'm sure at different times in your life it probably hasn't. If you are keeping up with this where it's at, because it's not coming through very clearly, like I'm having trouble trying to communicate it, but this is one of those ways in which spirit is actually helping protect you throughout the like experiences and lessons that you will experience in life. And if you can embrace all of yourself, it will be even better, because sometimes that can also be that side of it where we're not really, I don't know. Okay, we're just going to leave that unless we get anything more pointing back towards it. I think that's enough for now. I do think for some of you, this, if you're dealing with a person, that this person may have Capricorn type traits, and maybe they're not really seeing things in an emotional depth way. Even though I think Capricorn has the tendency to be quite insightful, maybe this is one of those things that they're actually missing. For others of you, it's not a Capricorn in this situation at all, or anyone with that energy or traits. For some of you, it is just a case of, it's that message of that's how you'll help yourself through this time. It's like, part of it is like showing up as all that you are and allowing yourself to be seen. And part of it is just going steadier and a bit slower, and maybe trying to use a bit of bigger picture thinking where you can, which is confirmation on one of the messages that we sort of got earlier anyway. Okay, all right, group one, that's everything that I have for you today. This is, I guess, supposed to be what would be helpful to you at this time, and I hope that it was and it resonated, and I'll see you in another video. Thank you. Okay, welcome group 2 to today's message from Spirit, which is all about what you need help with at the moment. Today we have the Light Seers Tarot as the tarot of choice, and all decks or all piles actually had clear quartz crystal with them. So a little bit about the clear quartz right now is that it is a crystal that can be easily programmed. It can be used in place of other crystals, and two characteristics of it. The first one is that it can amplify energies around us or the energies of other crystals, and another thing is that it can be great to work with in times we need clarity. Okay, so starting out, I feel like you might be in a position where there is relative abundance around you, where maybe there are quite prosperous times. Maybe there is like children around, and if it's not children, there's some sort of like growth or birth, or I don't want to say birth. I feel like whatever it is like long, steady, prosperous growth. So I feel like if there is children, they're probably already there. Or it would be like it's fruitful times. Okay, so and I feel like maybe with having this position where you're at, it comes with a bit of work, and I don't necessarily mean like hard work or time consuming work. Maybe it comes with like a level of like responsibility or duty where you have to use a level of discernment and discretion, and it's like decision making and the mental load and making sure things are running smoothly, making sure things are in order, just making sure that things are like as they should be and keeping an eye on everything. But ultimately things are working well, and I do feel like it's maybe a traditional path that's been set out for you. It does give me the vibes of being, in some sort of like domestic household situation. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the case, but I think for a lot of people it probably is. Like I also feel like maybe you don't have to necessarily like want for a lot, or it's like, if you need new clothes, not even if you need new clothes, if there's something that you want, you see it, maybe you wait a couple of weeks and you can go get it or something like that. There's definitely a level of abundance here where there's enough for like adornments, there's enough for being comfortable, there's enough for like continued prosperity, there's enough to feed and fulfill those around you. It is definitely like stable, secure times, like financially as well, I feel. For any of you that this is not, you may not be the person that is directly in like you may not be the person that's working a job that provides abundance, but maybe you're the partner or in a family of a person that does that, and indirectly or inadvertently you to a degree end up being on the receiving end, and you help run the household, or you help manage things at home or contribute in some way. Okay, but I feel like whatever this is, even though it's really great, and I'm I feel like you want your own thing, and I do feel like you want to step outside of whatever that role is. I don't know if it's predetermined or if it's just something you've done for a long time, but it's like whatever that is, it's like you're ready for a change, and I feel like you would like to do something a bit more alternative, and you're not so worried or concerned with what that stable, secure, financial, prosperous potential outcome could be. It's like you're taking a step outside of whatever this is that you've already had. For some of you, it may have just been, this is just a second message that I'm getting come in on the back end here, so we'll see how we go throughout this reading. For different situations, it could be like different things. For some of you, it could be both, but I'm wondering if this reading is going to sort of split into two groups here, because there's like a group that are clearly prosperous and abundant in life, And then I do feel like there's that level of like long-term stable security, however that looks. But there is also a group here where maybe you are really steady and stable as a person within your environment, even if it's not particularly prosperous or abundant, where it's like you sort of show up and do the things that you have to, you do them without fail, you do them every day. You're I want to say like a high level contributor to your environment. I think you're well appreciated and recognized for it. But whatever this is, whatever this situation is for you, it's like you want to step out of it, you want to do something different, maybe something a little bit more alternative, maybe something where you're embracing like a level of like spirituality or a passion or some sort of like progressive or alternative potential, I don't know, yeah, passion or something like that. For some of you, it's chasing a higher state of consciousness. But I feel like whatever this is at the moment, this is where it gets tricky, because it looks like, and keep in mind that all of what I've just explained might be what it looks like on the outside as well. It might not necessarily be like what it is for you to actually experience this situation. Because we have the Seven of Swords here, and I don't know, I'm gonna take hold of the card and see if I can get a message through. But for me, it's like there's some sort of like strategy here of how you're going to either achieve this change or get yourself out of this situation where you are no longer wanting to be, is the feeling that I get from it, even though it looks like a really good place to be, okay? And that might be the thing. It might look like a really good place to be, but it might not actually be as good as people think it is, or there's something else going on here and I can't tell. This is a weird message. I was just seeing this person carrying the swords with like a bunch more swords than what they already had. It was like they were taking everything that they possibly could and getting out of wherever they are. And it was, it was just like taking everything that you possibly can and leaving that situation. So yeah, okay. I'm not gonna, that was what I was getting for that, okay. Okay, so the same way that I just described, trying to take everything that you possibly can, or making sure you don't leave anything behind when leaving the situation, it seems to be the exact same thing that's like keeping you stuck. So maybe you're worried about not being able to leave with everything that you brought to the situation or that is yours, or leaving without enough. But it's like maybe whatever that is what's keeping you stuck. Maybe you do need to, in essence, cut your losses and just move on, because you can actually, like, it's in the end, it's basically what's keeping you stuck. For some of you, I wonder if you're worried that you're not leaving with all of your faculties. And when I say faculties, like your cognitive faculty, it's, for some of you, I wonder if you're doubting your own mental health here, and maybe you feel like you have less than what you had before, and you're just trying to make sure that you leave with the most intact cognitive faculty, or what is it, like mental ability that you're able to, but it's like just that very thought on its own of doubting yourself, worrying that you've lost something or that you still will lose something, ends up sort of keeping you more trapped in this mental space where maybe it is negatively affecting your mental health regardless. So it's kind of one of those things that it's like, realistically, you'd be better off to just like get out rather than worrying about how and what way to go about it. But I don't want to totally, I don't know, like I don't want to totally have disregard for the strategy because it seems to be important here, but it's like maybe the strategy could be better used in other ways. And maybe one of those things that we need to be looking at is achieving this mental clarity. And so for some of you, there is going to be an element of like doing the things where we're nourishing our bodies and physically exercising. Maybe we need to get outdoors or something like that to try to help, you know, remain clear. Yeah. For some of you, it's like maybe too much logic is being used here. No, it's not that. What is it? What is it? There's some... For some of you, you're doubting your own communicative abilities here as well. For some of you, it's like you feel like other people won't give you the benefit of the doubt, so you're not giving yourself the benefit of the doubt, and that in itself can keep you trapped in essence as well. Okay, moving on. I feel like whatever your situation is, there's been some level of like grief or loss here. And it leaves you in a position where I feel like you might still be like quite sad or consumed by this at this time. So maybe that's what's really making this whole situation harder than what it is. Like, I think part of you wants to be in this energy of, you know, I want to say like running a tight ship and doing the things that are good for you and that you know that you love. And then part of you is like, no, there's something else here. Sorry, this seems to be like a little bit of a funny reading where it's like the energy is jumping around and we're just getting a lot of mixed messages come out. So I hope that this makes sense and hopefully it all sort of tied together at the end for you. For some of you, I'm just hearing that you're proud in your place and you don't actually want to leave it. Maybe for some of you, you hold a position of like influence within your community or your friend circle or family or something like that, and that's what you really don't want to lose. But I don't know a way that you can leave this situation without feeling or experiencing the grief or the loss of that situation anyway, because so I wonder if that's one of those things that's like keeping you held back or keeping you feeling like you're stuck because you don't want to give up whatever this is, but ultimately that's one of the things that you will end up like grieving in some sense, even if you don't truly lose it. For some of you, I do feel like going to the beach during this time would be fantastic to help keep your energy like cleansed, clear and grounded, or just being out in nature, like around a lot of trees if you can, and allowing yourself to have the breathing space and the not downtime, but just allowing yourself to be in a position where you're able to embody your emotions, allow yourself to feel them, allow yourself to grieve, allow yourselves to be sad, accept that it is just part of like what's happening and don't try to stop it. Just allow yourself to actually be upset, allow yourself to process whatever this is. I am drawn to this artist card here, expressing a dimension of life that is just beyond the five senses, inspiring others to see life symbolically. I do feel like whatever this grief or sense of loss is here, it will actually really help you if you're able to express it in an artistic manner, or it'll help fuel some type of artistry in the future for you. But at the moment, it's like the main focus is just finding a new, stable, clean, secure, safe environment for you to gain stability again before you move on to anything else. It's weird because it's like I see where you were before or where you start out, and I see what sort of happens as you go or what has played out. But I don't see what the exact cause of upset was here. It's like I can't. So maybe that's something that I guess you would all know, or it's not being disclosed at this point in time. But I feel for most of you, you'll know what your situation is and what's happened and unfolded. It's like I can sort of see before and after, or I can see what happens to help you along the way, but I can't see what it was that was actually the trigger moment here. So yeah, okay, they want me to move on. Anyway, I don't know if during this time, whatever this is, this loss maybe triggers some level of poor health, or I don't even know if I want to say abandonment, but I feel like you might be looking to move houses or find new accommodation, or maybe you're struggling to actually find some sort of accommodation that is all those things that I said, like it is stable or secure or clean or safe, or there's some element that's missing there. It could even just be like your own physical health, even if like you actually have a good accommodation. Your health could just be like poor or negatively affected during this time from the things that are actually happening. All in all, it's like this time inspires some level of hope, or there's something that comes in the form of hope. What is it? It's like that this time where things are not looking good and are pretty uncertain, it inspires some new idea or some new hope that you probably wouldn't have come across in your old environment or your existing environment. It's like you had to go through this journey to see whatever this new potential is. Like you end up learning something that's very, I want to say foundational, or something very significant that helps with that situation. So whether it's health or whether it's like a monetary financing or a skill building thing, there's something that you come across during this time of hardship that really sort of sets you up for the future. But it just starts out with that idea, but it's really powerful and it gives you a lot of hope. Okay. I do feel like no. Why? I wonder if some of you are too busy being focused on some sort of romantic relationship at this time, not really giving the true time to your situation. For others of you, I feel like you may have navigated some level of separation and you do find a new person, and maybe you are looking at some sort of new relationship, but you're unsure what to choose or where to go from here, and it's maybe not quite the right timing or something. That's not the right words. It has nothing to do with timing. It's just that maybe you're unsure or something like that. The message that I have, I did grab a paper message, and it's a name of a song, and it's Special To by Missy Higgins, which makes me actually think that it does definitely have something to do with a relationship or a new person coming in. This is weird. I feel like I'm at a bit of a loss with this reading. I'm just going to keep going, and we'll just keep seeing what we get. When I first started reading the cards, I did feel like some sort of pain or hurt within my heart space or heart chakra like the energy there, where it was like essentially recognition of like a heartache or a hurt or something like that, okay? And I was getting strong, so that seems to be to do with whatever the loss is. And I'm not sure if the loss is around loss of your position or like just some level of grief or loss, okay? So, but I was getting a couple of things linking up where it was like, you've been in some sort of like traditional or set path, where you've been wanting to step into more of like a creative place or position, and it's like maybe this Aquarius energy is something that you haven't ever embraced within yourself before, and this is a time where you want to, and maybe this has something to do with the oncoming of the situation, but you're willing to embrace this part of yourself that maybe you have not embraced for a long time. But in doing that, you can essentially, I guess this makes me think of when you have shut off parts of yourself to people and you've put up a front, and because you've shut off parts to yourself when you're getting to know each other or over time, it's like they don't recognize as part of you, or they don't like it when it does eventually show up because it was never a part of you, or maybe, I don't know, there's something here where you basically want to embrace this Aquarius energy. Your previous environment didn't allow for it, so it's like you're stepping into this like artistry time in your life, and it's part like the Aquarius energy and the artist energy go hand in hand, where it's like the Aquarius nature to you is really helping you embrace this, whatever this artist or artistic expression is, or the artistic expression helps you embrace this Aquarius energy or nature within you. There's something there, but it's really strong. Whatever this is, it's like more significant, I feel like, than anything else that I've actually touched on this point in time. So whatever this is, I feel like it means a lot to you. So it's like, and when I keep saying or referring to Aquarius, it's like you being an individual, you being progressive, you embracing you as you are, regardless of how others would like you to show up in the world, or what they expect, or what cultural, societal expectations are. And knowing that it's okay. It's like you're embracing you as you, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that you realize that, and you're stepping into your power and doing this, and you're embracing like your authenticity or something like that. It's like it all, yeah. It's like your authentic expression or something like that is showing up here. And it's okay if not everybody likes it, because it's not for them anyway, is it? Okay, so in regards to that feeling that I was getting in my heart space earlier, where it felt like hurt or some sort of heartbreak or something like that, we do have the reference here to like the Special 2 song and the vulnerability with open your heart and allow yourself to be tender and self-trust. So I do think a level of this situation here is knowing that maybe things haven't worked out in the past, and that's okay. We don't need to remain closed off forever. That we, throughout this time, gain a level of life experience and discernment where we are able to actually trust again. But it's knowing that it's okay to take a chance, and even if it doesn't work out, it doesn't have to have like a permanent, irreversible effect on us. It doesn't have to, it's like, just because we get hurt 1 or 20 times doesn't mean we want to remain closed off forever. It's okay and probably a good thing to remain closed off for a period of time so that we can like recover from the situation. But I guess remaining closed off isn't a signifier of truly having recovered from the situation. truly recovering from the situation means we get back to a place where we are eventually able to allow ourselves to be vulnerable again. It's just that this time we have more resources to navigate this situation in which we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, okay? And trusting ourselves that we're more than competent to be able to do so. I did pull a couple of like timing cards here, and I would just take it as it applies for you. I did feel like this level of like self-trust, like maybe during this situation that you've gone through, you have lost that trust in yourself. And I think that's where this July card is significant, because that's when that self-trust seems to be intact again. And then I think by the time after you're actually able to embody that self-trust, you're then able to step into that vulnerability where you're able to open your heart again. And that seems to be around the September time. So, I mean, that's still quite a way off. The other side of it is that it might not be about the time itself specifically either. There is something about the self-trust of allowing things to play out as they are and trusting that you're adept and capable of handling things as they unfold. And with the vulnerability here, it's actually not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of growth. So take that as it resonates. And let's see, I think that's everything that I have for you all today. Oh no, it's not. What's this? This vulnerability definitely has something to do with being around other people or a new relationship of some kind. Yeah. Okay, so that's everything that I have for you today, group 2. I hope that this was helpful and resonated. Yeah, this was a bit of a tricky one to get through, but hopefully there was like some clear key points that you're able to take away from this that is helpful. Okay, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in another video. Welcome group 3 to today's reading, which is all about what would be helpful for you at this time. If you chose the Light Seers Tarot, then this is your reading for today. All 3 piles were matched with a piece of clear quartz, so this is your piece. The clear quartz is a crystal that can be used in place of other crystals, and it can help amplify energies. So I feel like at this time, okay, what the cards have for us is the 3 of Cups, the 9 of Wands, the 4 of Cups, and the King of Pentacles, just to start off with. So it's like these supportive friendships or relationships are the focus or at the forefront of our minds at this point. And I feel like because they are solid, stable, steady friendships, and when I say those words, it's all about it being supportive. It's like they're nurturing and supportive, and it is helping us in some ways overcome the defensiveness that we may have embodied in the past. It may be actually helping us learn to trust again. Yeah. It would be really good if you actually can embrace these friendships to the best of your ability, to allow yourself this time for things to really, I don't know, it's almost like it brings like a softer quality to your life that you probably haven't had for a while, where maybe these people are actually quite good people, or they genuinely like want the best for you. Their intentions are like rather pure, like they're really just there to walk beside you and nothing else. Like there's no hidden agendas or anything like that. Yeah, it's these people are more than happy to actually just show up and just be your friend. They don't need or want anything more or extra from you that you know, you don't have to give anyway. And I do feel like these people, a good signifier for them is they're going to be people that encourage you to follow like your North Star or your true north or something like that. Whatever it is that you have in your sights, they're going to be supportive no matter what that looks like, okay? So if these people are not supportive of your goals or your dreams or whatever that is, that means a lot to you, then they're probably not these people that we're referring to. If you don't feel like you have these people currently in your life, either the connection's not quite there yet and needs to be worked on, or this is a call for you to try to find people like this. And I know that that's so much easier said than done, but it doesn't mean it's impossible either. And I just feel like this would be, yeah, I feel like for most of you, you already have this, okay? Or maybe you're just unsure. So maybe it's a case that you do actually definitely have these types of friendships around, but it's hard for you to understand what ones they are or what that looks like, because you haven't necessarily had good role models in the past to know what to go off of. So I think that's one of those things. As long as they support you, they don't try to cut you down, and they don't try to steer you off path, and they're encouraging for you, and they only want the best for you. It's, yeah. Okay. What is this? Maybe I don't know what this is. I want to say for some of you, maybe you feel like the grass is greener on the other side at this point in time, or maybe you're actually seeing other people that do have these like solid, good relationships around them, and you're sort of looking for what that would look like. It's like you're looking for those examples outside of your own life. But I think that you probably have at least one really good, worthwhile person right in front of you that you just can't see. Yeah. But I do get the essence here too of something like the people that are sort of meant to, like another quality that these people will have is that they'll all make the effort to get along with each other, or they will all, yeah, there's definitely something there, like they're going to make it easy for you to share friendships with other people or something like that. Like there's no possessiveness or anything. You're allowed to have more than one friend sort of energy. I do feel like these people are probably like-minded people where you share a lot of the same like interests and beliefs and that sort of thing. And that they give you like a good sense of community. So it's like whether you have that strong community or not, having a couple of good friends like this will make you feel like you have community, or they'll make you feel part of it or something like that. There's that sense of they help you feel like you belong. Okay. I do feel like when you realize what it is exactly that you actually already have, so like this person in front of you or the other things and areas in life that you have to be grateful for, it will help set you on a path where you're able to embrace your own, I want to like goals, and you're able to start really working towards things, and you'll probably do really well at them quite quickly. And that the people that come with you, there's a sense of, yeah, they need to be loyal, but there's a sense of if it's these people, they will be loyal. So like you don't have to question that. And I'm just hearing like it doesn't matter what they look like on the outside, it's all about what they look like on the inside. And that's really hard because like how do you know, like it's obviously we're not ever here to like judge people by their external features. It's really like, you know, we pay attention to the actions and things that people do as a reflection of their internal stuff. But I mean, you can't see what's in another person. Maybe for some of you, this like-minded group of people, I do get the sense of like they're part of your tribe. And so for some of you, there might be, I don't know if I want to say like intuitive connections, but maybe you're aligned on your pathway, and that can look different for different people, but it could be like a consciously aware or spiritually inclined type pathway. There's something like that, because there's like a lot of purple here within this card, and it's kind of embracing what we are as human through the universe. Like it's the things that are outside of ourselves that we're not always privy to, but these people seem to be quite aware. Okay, we're just going to move on from here and just see. All right, so obviously it's going to take like a level of discernment here, and I feel like at this point in your life, you can definitely trust your discernment. Maybe at times you can be a little bit too guarded, and that can hinder that process a little bit. So there is a sense there of needing to be a little bit more vulnerable. I also feel like your health will improve with having like good relationships around you. So for any of you that don't already understand this. It could be that because these people are really supportive and they do give you that sense of like, you know, belonging to a community, that in itself can take a lot of the burden away. You don't necessarily have to be constantly, you know, offloading problems to these people, but they're people that would be more than happy and have the time to hear what you have to say and to be there for you when things are going on. But it's like that feeling of being supported or knowing that there's someone there for you in itself is enough to actually help ease a lot of like stress and problems in your life. It's like, yeah, it's that sense of being supported. I keep being drawn back to this card. I know every time I go back to this card, I just kind of feel calm. I feel calm and I feel safe, and yeah. I do feel like ultimately this journey is going to be all about learning, where maybe we're learning to put our guards down and we're just doing what we can, until we're able to get to a point where we're able to sort of be a little bit more free and adventurous and take a leap of faith where we're able to. And that's what's ultimately going to lead us to a sense of like long-term fulfillment here. Okay, so that's everything that what's here? For some of you, you know, maybe you do have like a special pet or animal or something like that that does give you a lot of this fulfillment. And I know animals can be like really lovely companions, especially when we might already be struggling with people. Yeah, okay. So that was just like one little extra message that was thrown in there. All right, I'm going to take some extra cards. So oh Jesus, I'll take it out. Yeah, these people are definitely going to encourage you and be supportive. Anyone that isn't supportive should be discouraged. So I just want to clear that up really quickly. Like, a person doesn't necessarily have to agree with you on everything to be supportive. They can maybe say, I'm not sure if that's the best idea, but I'll support you regardless. That is true support, okay? But if they do agree with you, then that's even better, okay? And on the other side of this is that we need to be really appreciative and grateful for the support and the friends that we do have, for the times that it has helped us through, because we're not always so aware of that, especially if we feel like we have had a hard go at it, or we've been experiencing things in our life that have been difficult. It can be quite easy to feel disconnected from the people closer to us, because we may feel like we're in it on our own. From whatever the situation is, can cause a feeling of isolation, even though we're not particularly isolated and we do have these people, okay? All right, we're going to take another card. Maybe for some of you, this person we were talking about that could be in front of you is a person that you just haven't really considered before. So that's why it might seem like, you know, they don't really come to mind. And the message that I get here is to walk the lonesome road. So maybe for some of you, you've been in a period of isolation or feeling like you're going back into one at this point, and this can happen, I guess, to help teach us things, or, you know, to show us the real value and worth of these supportive friendships and relationships. So I don't know, sometimes there are just lessons that we need to learn on our own, okay, where like no one else can help us through it, no one else can do the healing for us, no one else can take the pain away, and it's just something that we need to go through on our own. And then when we come out the other side, it's a lot easier to reconnect again. We have privacy, inviolate personal space, respected boundaries, and taboos. So that's what that's what we would be looking for, right? People that respect boundaries and personal space and privacy. We're just going to take one more card. And to see if we can extend on this a little bit or get a little bit more detail here. I do have to point out, like during this reading, I actually feel quite clear-headed as well. But I do wonder if this is just something that like comes up for you every now and then, or it just sort of plays in the back of your mind or something like that. Or maybe it is just that sense of like feeling lonely, because I do sort of get it swell up in my heart space a little bit as well. So it's like maybe I don't feel like there's any ruminating thoughts here too much or anything. It's just like maybe we're just not feeling as connected as what we have in the past, or what we could be, or what we want. And that is that sense of loneliness and maybe not wanting to let our guard down. And I think you'll definitely get back there. It's just going to take a bit more time. But this could also be like a time where it really teaches us or shows us what we do want. Because sometimes that sort of lonesome or more isolating path can actually be so we get to know ourselves better as well. And then in turn, once we get to know ourselves better, it makes it a lot easier for us to actually know what we want and value as us as an authentic person. So we got water here, and that's just all the feels and a little bit of that intuitive stuff. Yeah. Okay. Group 3, that's everything that I have. Oh no, do you know what we'll do? We're going to take a paper message. I feel like I want to give you guys more, but this is all that I'm getting come through. And group 3 always seems to be like a bit of a quicker pile for me. So yeah. The message that we got is, please don't ever take me for granted. So I wonder if that's how you feel. Or maybe that's a message from your person, if this is directly regarding a specific relationship around you. But we're just going to end today's reading with a quick smudge from using the Palo Santo, just to help clear up anything. I don't even know if I could say that I felt like there was particular like emotional release. Like, I mean, for some of you there could be for sure. But it's really just like, I feel like there is a bit of a stagnancy here. So we'll quickly clear that up and then be on our way. It can also be quite grounding as well. Cool. All right. So, cool. that's everything that I have for you today, Group 3. I hope that this was helpful and resonated, and I'll see you in another reading. Thanks.